It's October the 11th, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. I hope everybody's having a great start to their weekend as well. It's a pretty chilly day here in South Carolina. I think it's probably in the mid-50s right now. It's pretty cool, especially for this time of year for us. It's usually pretty warm still, but I don't know if we have a cold front or what's going on, but it's been just rainy, dreary, overcast all day. It rained all morning this morning. I think it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow as well. So I think, like I said, we're just going to hang out together as a family and just binge watch movies this weekend. And I don't mind. I'm still pretty tired from all the stuff I've been doing. It really wore me out going to the beach last week and then, going to that concert with my brother. It was just a lot to do. And I'm fine just laying around the house this weekend with the family and just getting some rest, like I said. So that's my plans for this weekend. I hope you guys have some little bit more elaborate plans than I do. But anyway, yesterday when I was just hanging out watching television, I was laying in the bed last night and my wife and I were watching that television show. It's either Life After Lockup or Love After Lockup. I'm not really sure. My wife's always the one that turns this on, but I'm pretty sure we're at like the newest season that's out right now. This is the one they're just, releasing a show every week or whatever it is. And while we were watching that last night, it gave me a really good idea for today's show because one of the scenes in that show last night, it like really grabbed hold of me. It brought me back, like I transported back in time to this moment when I was watching this guy. I could just see it in his eyes. I looked over at my wife and I told her, I said, he just made the decision just now. And as I was watching that show, I could see it. I could see like that decision get made in his mind right then. And like I said, I told her, I said, he already made the decision. He's going to go back. And like I said, that's what I want to talk about today. So like I said, I wanted to talk about this gentleman, that was talking about he wanted to go back. And what was going on, there's two guys in the show that are dating. And, one of them had just gotten out of prison. The other one has had problems with addiction in the past. So he knows, what's going on with all this stuff. And the guy that's just got out of jail, well, he's got to get into all these programs and stuff like that. And when he first got out of jail, you could just tell that he was getting really overwhelmed by everything that was happening all around him. Not only is he just getting out of prison, which is a big change in itself. These guys, they get accustomed to that lifestyle, waking up at the same time every day, doing the same thing every day. You get accustomed to certain things, especially after, years. But anyway, like I said, this guy, he just got out of jail and he's just getting out into the real world being sober as well. So this is very difficult for him to do right now. Getting out into the real world, just getting out of jail, and he's just getting out into the real world being sober. And it's just all super overwhelming. And like I said, I could watch this guy. Even my wife said that he looked super overwhelmed. You could just tell that just everything around him was just really starting to weigh on him. His relationship was starting to weigh on him. Just the outside world was starting to weigh on him. And over and over again throughout the show, I kept hearing him saying the same thing. This is triggering me. This is triggering me. I don't want to go do this because it's triggering. If I was to do this, that's going to trigger me. Or if I'm going to do this, I might want to use. And I kept hearing this. I hear this a lot on this show as well, because a lot of these people on the show have problems with either drugs or alcohol. And you hear them say a lot, that's triggering me, or if this happens, I'm going to go back and use. You hear a lot of threats about going back and using as well. And the guy yesterday wasn't threatening anything, but he just kept saying, that this is scaring me. And if this might happen, I might go back to using, or I don't know how I'm going to deal with this without using, or I've never done this without using, and it's really starting to get to me. He kept saying this over and over and over. Like I said, I just found it really interesting because he kept saying that over and over and over again, and I started to see this like change in his eyes as the show started to progress. In the very beginning, when he first got out of jail, You could see the enthusiasm. He wanted to be sober. But as he started getting used to the real world, you could tell that just when things would go wrong, that in his mind, it was almost like he was like, like checking things off in his mind. Okay, like, well, that happened. All right, well, I'm getting that much closer. And he kept saying over and over again, like, if this happens, I might have to use, or I don't know how I'm going to stay sober through this, or I don't know how I'm going to stay sober through that. And like I said, there was a point in the show when he was driving a car. And while he was driving, he was talking to his boyfriend, about his addiction problems. And in that moment, because they had just gone over to the boyfriend's house who wasn't in jail. They had just gone over to his house to meet his family, and the family was kind of hard on the guy who had just gotten out of jail. They were a little bit tough on him. And when he walked out of that house and they got into the vehicle together, like I said, it was that moment when he was driving down the road, because they had the camera pointed directly on him. It was in that moment I could see like the shift in the way his eyes looked. And I knew right then, it was like he had made that decision. And like I said, I got instantly transported right back to time when I used to relapse, when I used to make that decision. I knew exactly what went through his head in that moment. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I'm sorry that it took so much lead up and context to get here, but that's what I wanted to talk about. Like I said, is that moment when we make that decision, when we know that we're going to go ahead and relapse, because that happened to me so many times. I can think back so many times when, and I can think back to like actual situations when I relapsed, what pushed me to relapse or what I said pushed me to relapse. I can think back to a bunch of times. Like, I remember these times. And like I said, I could see it in his eyes, because I remember doing that. Getting to that place where, it's like I kept saying, if this happens, I'm going to relapse. Or if that happens, I'm going to relapse. And it was like I was going ahead and setting up the scenario. I was getting everything ready. It was like I was going ahead and prepping everybody and telling everybody, okay, if this happens, I'm going to relapse. It's like I was going ahead and warning everybody and letting everybody know, if this is to happen, I'm going to relapse, because in the back of my mind, I already knew that I was going to relapse anyway. So I was already setting everything up, making sure that I had a reason to relapse, which I could see this is what that guy was doing on that show. Was he necessarily doing that 100% for sure? I don't know, but that's what I think was going on. Because like I said, it got to a point where he just made that shift. In his mind, it was like in that moment, he just went ahead and said, I'm going to drink, or I'm going to use. But what in his mind, what he said is, I'm going to go use. Now, as soon as he left his boyfriend in that scene, he left him at the house, and then the guy went to go drink at a bar. I haven't seen any further than that part, so I don't know if he's used or not at this point. But like I said, I could just see that shift, because I remember doing that back in the day. When I made that decision in my mind, like, I'm going to drink. I know for a fact I'm going to drink now. I can remember back, like I said, so many situations, and driving a car just like he was when that decision was made in my mind. It was like I was just driving down the road and thinking about drinking. I probably had maybe a week worth of sobriety or something. I'm driving down the road and just something in my mind clicked, and I went, you know what, I'm drinking today. By the end of the day today, I'm going to drink. Something is going to upset me enough that's going to push me to go have that drink. I already knew in the back of my mind, I'm drinking. I already knew. And it was like at that moment, whatever it was, it could have been anything that would have set me off. That's going to be the reason I'm going to drink today. It did not matter. There was a point, like I said, where I made that mental decision that I'm going to go ahead and drink. And like I said, that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I think that for a lot of us, we get to that place. We've got some sobriety under our belt, and then at some point, something goes wrong. We have to go through a hard situation, and dealing with hard situations, especially early in sobriety, is very, very difficult, because we've been using a substance or alcohol to lean on for so long. Then you remove it. Now what? In these difficult situations, like I said, and all of a sudden our mind's just thinking, okay, I'm going to drink today. And like I said, it's already set up in your brain. You're already thinking about it. You've already made the decision that you're going to go ahead and do it. And you might not be doing it right there in that moment, but at some point, maybe in an hour, maybe in 3 hours, maybe when you get off work today, at some point, you've already made up the decision that you are going to drink today. And like I said, that's what I wanted to talk about. Don't allow yourself to get there mentally. Don't allow yourself to get there. You know, when those thoughts start to hang around in your head and you start playing with that idea that you could go get yourself a 6-pack of beer, go get yourself a pint, get yourself a bottle of wine, whatever it is, go ahead and stop thinking about it right then. Don't play around with these ideas, because if you do, like I said, you might get to that place where you go ahead and give yourself permission to go ahead and drink. Like I said, it's like you turn on a light switch and you know right then that it's going to happen. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. You are going to drink today. You've already made the decision in your mind. You know the consequences that are going to happen with it, but you just want to drink because you think, or use, because you think that going back to drinking or using is going to make your life better some way or another, or it's going to help you relax a little bit better, or it's going to help you go to sleep better at night, or you're just going to be able to deal with life in general easier using alcohol or a substance, because life's hard. I get it. Life's super difficult. And, you know, life's like this. You know, you have these ups and downs, and one day's great and the next day sucks, you know. And when we get in these really bad days and great days, the great days for me could probably be more triggering than the bad days, because when I'm having a great time, I'm super excited. I want to drink. I want to drink, celebrate. That's what I used to love to do. But the bad, sad times work the same way for me, just maybe not as strong as the happy times do. But like I said, you know, if you start getting those thoughts, just don't entertain them anymore. Just push that right out of your head immediately. Because when we start toying with those ideas in our head, we can really start to stew on it, really start to think about it. Start thinking about all those reasons why you need to be drinking. Well, your spouse has been giving you a hard time. Your kids don't want to listen to anything you have to say. Your boss is giving you a hard time at work. You know, you haven't been able to get those chores done you're supposed to get done. You know, all your stuff is falling apart. Maybe you just got a DUI 6 months ago and you're just tired of dealing with the legal system because it's stressing you out. Or maybe you just found out you have some kind of health condition and it's stressing you out, and you think that the answer is to drink or to go back and use because, you know, it's going to make you feel better. And yeah, it might do that for a brief amount of time. And that's all we're doing, is we're escaping reality just for a few minutes. But the thing is that nothing in life is for free. And there are always going to be consequences to our actions. And the consequences that come along with drinking or using, they're severe and it's horrible. You know, not only does it destroy our body, but it destroys all of our relationships. We lie to the people that we love. We cheat. We steal from the people that we love. We hurt everybody around us. It's just so destructive. Don't let that thought linger in your brain. As soon as it comes in, think about something else. And you can do it. Like I said, you have to immediately start thinking about something else. And I know sometimes it can be hard to kind of get those thoughts to leave, but you can do it. Start really thinking about something else. I don't care if you start thinking about Snicker bars. Just keep saying Snicker bars, Snicker bars, Snicker bars over and over and over again until you stop thinking about it. Because if you give that any place to linger in your brain, it can potentially cause major issues. And like I said, I just don't want to see anybody get back to that place. Like I said, that I saw that guy in, where he made that mental decision right then, where he's like, I'm going back. I seriously could see the shift in his eyes, the way that he looked, his facial expression. It's like he had just given up. Like, whatever, I'm tired of fighting this. I'm tired of dealing with these problems. I'm tired of fighting the feeling that I want to use. And at that moment, he just gave in and said, you know what, I'm using. And then he went and told his boyfriend that he needed to go ahead and break up with him, that they needed to stop the relationship, all this kind of stuff, because in that moment he knew, I'm going back to using. He knew he didn't want to deal with that anymore. He just wanted to go back to his life, using and being comfortable again, because that's where he is comfortable. And then, as a matter of fact, I do know what happened to the guy, and I'm not going to ruin it for any of you guys who might want to watch the show, but I forgot my wife told me what she saw happen with him. But it doesn't end well. I'll just put it like that. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, don't entertain those thoughts. When those thoughts start to come in, don't give them any space in your head. Immediately start thinking about something else. Going back to that life, it's not worth it. Really, truly, seriously sit there and think about why you stepped away from whatever it is to begin with. It was causing you harm in your life one way or another, or multiple ways. You know, if it's gambling, you're losing all your money. Or if you're drinking, you're losing your health and relationships, and potentially your job, potentially your freedom. If it's substances, same thing. It's just a big mess, and let's just stay away from that lifestyle. If you have gotten away from it, you have already climbed a mountain so big. Don't climb back down. Stay up there at the top. The view is better from up there. Trust me, it truly is. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, when you start to get to that place in your mind, don't allow your brain to make that decision for you where you go, I'm just going to go ahead and go back to it, because it really, truly is not worth it. One day at a time, guys. Yesterday's gone. We can't do anything about it. If you drank yesterday or used yesterday and you're beating yourself up about it, don't do it. Let's just move forward. Tomorrow's not even here yet, and there's not a thing that we can do about it, but you can make a difference today. And the decision that you make today will affect tomorrow. You can potentially change your future in a very, very positive way. Let's stay sober today, guys. We can do it. Thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And until tomorrow, I will see you guys then. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.